University students. University students of the most prestigious and the most expensive universities in the country are being cracked down upon for voicing their opposition to it, their opposition to genocide, for wanting to stop it, for wanting to disavow and disassociate themselves and their educational institutions from the crimes that their country is perpetuating in Palestine. But yes, there have been protests all along. Marches, demonstrations, boycotts, everything, all along. And now those protests have reached the Ivy League. They've reached the institutions of the ruling class, the soil from which the ruling class grow their next generation of leaders. The protests have spread from the street to the elite. And now the sons and daughters of the owners, the sons and daughters of the controllers of global financialized capital, the OCGFC juniors, are getting knocked upside their heads. They're getting thrown on the ground. They're getting tackled by the uniformed goons whose job it is to serve and protect their class. You know that's what the police are for. That's what the National Guard is supposed to do. That's their job. They're the ones who are nothing but the bodyguards and the enforcers of the elite. They're supposed to protect and serve these young people. They're supposed to look the other way when the sons and daughters of the rich break the law. They're supposed to only use their batons and their tasers to keep the lower class in line, to keep the poor and the marginalized in the margins. They're not supposed to be throwing around the kids of the elites. They're not supposed to be throwing around the sons and daughters of the OCGFC. This is a total system breakdown. Do you understand that some cop on the Harvard campus probably just zip-tied the future president of the United States? Your system is having a complete meltdown. These aren't normal working class people. These aren't minorities. Those campuses are the creme de la creme of American society. You don't get into the Ivy League because you're smarter than everyone else. No, that's not how you get in those schools. You get into those schools because of your connections, because of your family ties, because of your proximity to power. And those police are going after those students the same way that some IDF Neanderthal goes after a Palestinian child. It's stunning. They're body-slamming professors. America's most prestigious campuses have become occupied territories. And you can see, if you watch the videos, you can see just how much the police, the American police and security forces have cooperation and collaboration with the Israeli police and security forces. There's no difference. They act the same. They trained each other. They act the same way. You know, Netanyahu said that what's happening on America's campuses reminds him of Nazi Germany. And he's right. He's right. It's just not the way he meant it. The security forces are acting just like the Nazis, cracking down on dissent, cracking down on the conscience of their own nation. That's just what they're doing. They're throttling the moral conscience of America. You know how there's that poem about the Nazis, how they came after the intellectuals and I said nothing. They came after the Jews and I said nothing, and now they come after me. Well, America, they came for the Palestinians and you said nothing. They came for the protesters in the streets and you said nothing. And now they're coming for your own best and brightest, your own Ivy League bourgeois ruling class children. I told you before, America's empire is going to die in the rubble of Gaza, and that's just what's happening. Oh, this is a serious problem for you. Those students are the talent pool for your future. They're the ones that you're going to hand over the reins of power to. You train them up for that. And you can tell that just by how different their protests are. They're not rioting. They're not burning down police stations. They're not looting a CVS. They're not making crazy demands like people who have no experience dealing with politics or with the authorities and so on. No, they're demanding very reasonable demands. They're demanding divestment by their universities from Israel. Very simple. They're protesting in an organized and a disciplined way. They won't even let just anybody talk to the media. They have their own media team, you see? These kids are from the professional class. They probably got a workflow chart and a human resources department for the protesters. These young people have been primed to take over the system. And instead of taking over the system, they're taking the system down. I'm telling you, you're in a crisis right now. America's in a crisis.